afternoon. My name is Bronwyn Bruton. I am the Director of Programs and Studies at the Africa Center at the Atlantic Council, and I am here today with the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Ambassador Tibor Nagy. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very, very much for having me, and thank you for having this event. I believe it's highly valuable, especially at this time.
Thank you. Well, then let me jump right in with that and start off with that question. We are hosting this conference on the eve of an election. And since we're hosting it at this time, I think it's important to ask, is there bipartisan support for investing in Africa between the Democratic and Republican parties?
Absolutely. I am delighted to my heart that Africa remains one of the true nonpartisan issues. You know, when I was going through my confirmation, I had tremendous support in meetings from senators both sides of the aisle, and some of the biggest boosters from Africa. I hate to say this may be one of the few issues that they really agree on, is the importance of seeing Africa succeed. As you know, the US government, again, on a bipartisan basis, has been tremendously supportive of helping Africa through this COVID emergency. We've had nothing but open doors. You know, I myself have had a number of meetings on Capitol Hill, and I find everybody supportive. So with this effort, especially of, you know, significantly increasing trade and investment between the United States and Africa, has had tremendous bipartisan support. And I have to say, as have some of the major Africa initiatives going all the way back to AGOA, you know, with the Clinton administration, and then PEPFAR with George W. Bush administration, and then the Young African Leaders Initiative, you know, Feed the Future with Obama administration. These tend to be very, you know, administration to administration and totally nonpartisan.
Well, it's actually, I think, been one of the unheralded successes of the Trump administration, that the administration has done a good job of moving the ball forward on improving the commercial and trade relationship with African nations. And there have been a number of big programs that have been advanced under this government, and including the BUILD Act and Prosper Africa. Do you mind stepping back for a moment and giving us the big picture on what the administration is getting done?
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is something that is needed doing for, I would have to say, decades. Even you know, when I was out there as early as the late '80s, and we were urging African governments to implement what's called a one-stop shop, or, you know, French guichet unique, and we'd be pounding the tables of ministers in trade and industry. And the dirty little secret was, of course, that the United States had nothing, you know, compared to a one-stop shop. And I think the planets kind of lined up in that when Mark Green came to USAID, and the views of the Trump administration on promoting trade and investment, and then on our side, us at the State Department, you know, we have followed development theory in Africa for decades. And during my time, there's been at least 4 different development theories. And the only thing that they've had in common was that none of them really worked. Africa always seemed to be developing, but never getting to develop. So, you know, I think we came to a consensus that you really want Africa to develop. The way to do it is through the private sector, through the incredible energy and, frankly, the resources that the private sector brings to the table, which dwarf anything that any government can bring in. So with that, you know, it took a while to get there, because, as you know, in Washington, nothing is quick, nothing is easy. But finally, we are now at the stages. Development Finance Corporation is going full board, you know, with a doubling of their capitalization, which has been tremendously helpful. And now Prosper Africa is going through its, implementation. The house is not yet constructed totally, but the structure is up. You know, the doors and the windows are in. So, you know, hopefully decades from now, the way we talk about AGOA, hopefully people will be talking about Prosper Africa. Yep. You know, we really needed to bring it on board. And yes, it's been of tremendous benefit to increasing trade and investment, of supporting both the private sector in doing business with Africa, but also at the same time of working with African governments to really improve their investment climate and to, put down that level playing field so US businesses are as comfortable going to Africa as they are to, East Asia or Latin America.
Absolutely. It really is refreshing and wonderful to see the conversation shifting so decisively towards trade and away from the security conversation that's been so dominant in Washington for so many years. I had one final question to ask you, because in my view, I think one of the most important developments of this decade has been the coming online of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And I wondered what the Trump administration is doing to support the AFCTA, and also if you could tell us a little bit about the first bilateral trade agreement that the administration is in the process of penning with Kenya.
Yeah, first of all, the administration very strongly supports the Africa Continent-wide Free Trade Agreement. And there's a simple reason. Because Africa truly is a continent of regions, much more so than nation states. Because if we look at the Africa map, we have to admit that most of the countries on there look the way they do because of colonialism, because of the Congress of Berlin, of Europeans standing around a map and making imaginary lines where those lines should not have gone. So, Africa's true geographic units are its regions, and they make the most economic sense. So this really will cross the regions, bring the continent together. And we have been very supportive in things like giving technical support in various areas, because, we absolutely want to work with them as they come up with some of their standards. We have been very supportive in bringing people to the United States on various visits, so that they can come and see, on our side, customs, digital economy, dispute resolution, technical areas like that, which are going to be very, very important. And equally important is this whole very first free trade agreement with a sub-Saharan African country. Because another dirty little secret is that we have no, free trade agreement with any sub-Saharan African country. As a matter of fact, the only one I think we have on the African continent is with Morocco. So, the negotiations are going on, and we very much see this as parallel to and kind of a plug-in to the overall, continent-wide free trade agreement. So it's not a competition. It is very much a supplement to, and obviously, being the first one, it's not our agency that is directly involved in this, but we are absolutely very supportive, because Africa desperately needs a continent-wide free trade agreement, again, to fully utilize all of its, geographic components, which, as I said before, really are the regions.
Well, at the Africa Center, we've been delighted to host President Uhuru Kenyatta a couple of times this year, and we are hoping to have him back again soon to talk about how the trade agreement is shaping up. And Ambassador Nagy, we would love to have you as well. I hope you'll consider this a formal invitation to join us anytime you can. So enjoyed this conversation. I'm looking forward to picking up on all of these themes at the conference on Friday. I hope to see you there. Thanks. You so much for having us today.
Thanks very much. And you all do such a phenomenal job on hosting, African dignitaries when they come to the States. So thanks a lot for being so super active on the continent.
Thanks so much, Ambassador.
Take care.